Yeah, folks, it's tough, It's not easy making a video like this about other people's stories, especially when we're talking about the story of a famous person. Oh, Vinicius Dailla, but she made a lot of money. Oh, Vinicius Dailla, but she made choices, folks. You have no idea what it's like. When I research these Hollywood stories, especially from the 2000s, I get terrified. But now I'm going to tell you this. Pay attention. Amanda Laura Bynes was born on April 3rd, 1986, in Thousand Oaks, California, in the United States. At 7 years old, she was already acting in commercials and also participating in theater plays, but she took a big step in her career. Even when she was doing stand-up comedy and she was only 8 years old, her parents already knew she had like unimaginable talent. Everyone praised her, everyone loved watching her do stand-up, and because of that, she performed stand-up in many places. And that's when she was discovered at one of those stand-up shows by Nickelodeon producers. She was then invited to join the cast of All That, which would be her first major television role. After that, she simply became one of the most profitable and brilliant actresses. Seriously, folks, she was more relevant to the teenage and family audience of the 2000s, and especially to Nickelodeon. She was a sensation. She was the key figure in solidifying those iconic Hollywood teen brands of the 2000s. After all that, she got her own show called The Amanda Show, and she just blew up on Nickelodeon. If you're a fan of hers, you probably know her story, and if you're not, get ready because it's full of major highs and lows. She did big projects like Big Fat Liar in the 2000s, What I Like About You until 2006, Just My Luck in 2003, Lost in Hollywood in 2005, She's the Man in 2006, Hairspray in 2007, Sydney White also in 2007, and Easy A in 2010, and many other projects besides. Now, folks, when I say other projects, I mean before 2010, because in 2010, the movie Easy A was her last acting job. She literally hated that job and she literally hated acting. She had a Twitter account back then where she vented to her fans about all the pressure she was under and told them everything that had happened in her life. If you've seen the video I made about Janet McCurdy right here on this channel, you know that being a child star in Hollywood wasn't really the blessing people thought it was. I believe it was more of a curse. Yeah, folks, seriously. Especially for the kids who worked behind the scenes at Nickelodeon during that time, under director Dan Schneider, who was the big shot over there at Nickelodeon. And he's been accused of all kinds of abuses. Yes, folks, but that's a topic for another video. If you want, I'll make a video summarizing all the accusations against him and all the scandals this guy's been involved in. It involves many famous actors from Hollywood in the 2000s. She never openly talked about her experience at Nickelodeon, especially when she was posting all kinds of nonsense on that Twitter account. She never got too specific about that Nickelodeon period. Was it a bad experience for her? Well, folks, given all these revelations, we believe she was definitely part of that drama. What's clear to us is that her life was very difficult, her childhood, her teenage years, and I'm gonna tell you why. If you don't know her story, you'll understand as this video goes on. So in 2010, with the movie Easy A, she simply retired. She told people she hated seeing herself in that movie. In fact, she also said she hated her own appearance. She hated her body. She hated her face. She couldn't stand looking at herself anymore because she saw so many flaws, folks. To me, the only explanation is that it was mental, because she was a very beautiful girl. As you can see, she was an enviable girl. People truly loved her beauty, and that ended up affecting her personality and mental health even more, just so you understand. She started saying a lot of nonsense on that Twitter account she had, and people compared her to someone crazy because she really was saying outrageous things. It seemed like she was having a breakdown. A little while later, she'd go back, apologize, and say that wasn't what she meant, that it was all lies. People stopped believing what she said because of this pattern. Once she tweeted that she'd been abused by her parents and even claimed they'd implanted a chip in her head. It was really wild stuff, but that's what she said. Then, after a while, she'd go back and deny it, leaving people confused by her behavior. Because as the old saying goes, when a liar always lies, nobody believes them, even when they tell the truth. And that's kind of what happened, you see? People didn't take seriously what she posted on social media because they didn't trust her. People never knew if she was telling the truth or not, and since it was a vicious cycle, new drama kept popping up. Her credibility was seriously questioned during this time, and because of that, folks, rumors started spreading about drugs, alcohol, and erratic behavior in her life, but at first they were just rumors. That was until 2010 when people got confirmation. Because that year, Amanda was arrested for driving under the influence after crashing into a police car in Los Angeles. Later, she was also accused of 2 more car accidents, and she was drunk in every single one. So her driver's license was suspended, she went to trial, and her case was settled with a 3-year probation agreement. She also had to complete community service and mandatory courses. Then, in 2013, she was detained again in New York for marijuana possession and reckless endangerment. That's because she was seen smoking marijuana in the lobby of her building, and then she threw a bong out of her 13th floor apartment window. It landed on a super busy avenue, and honestly, it's only by luck it didn't hit anyone, right? Because it could have seriously injured someone, folks. That avenue was none other than Times Square. In July of that same year, she was caught starting a fire in her neighbor's garage, and after that, she was involuntarily placed under psychiatric evaluation. Because under California law, someone can be involuntarily hospitalized after episodes like that, right? Soon after that, her parents filed for legal conservatorship in court because they claimed she was spending money recklessly on alcohol, drugs, and also, folks, she was constantly paying for other people's stuff, I swear. She spent tons of money giving gifts to others, like, hey, come here, I'll pay for this. I'll cover that for you. She really spent a ton of money. They managed to prove this during that time, folks. We watched that sweet, cute little face become completely disfigured. From 2014 to 2018, she went through a long period away from the media and focused on recovery, understandably so, folks. Her fans were hoping something would happen in 2018. During that time, she also became interested in fashion and started studying at the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising in Los Angeles. And really, folks, there were few scandal reports during that period, but yes, there were quite a few relapses, especially with drugs, and she had to go through a lot of treatment for her mental health. We get to 2018 when Amanda gave one of her most controversial interviews, one that got a lot of attention at the time for Paper magazine. She was even on the cover of that magazine, where she revealed she'd been sober for 4 years. Really, folks? And it was the first time she publicly admitted her involvement with drugs. She also said in that interview that she wanted to return to acting, and the interview caused a huge emotional reaction, especially among her fans. Because it really seemed like she'd recovered and had a strong desire to start a new life, and that she'd be returning to the spotlight. But that's not what happened, folks. After that magazine feature, she faced enormous pressure, I swear. For several days, she was the only topic in the media. Everyone was talking about her, and I think that really affected her psychologically. She couldn't handle it, and she had another major relapse. So in 2019, early 2019, she was hospitalized again. It was during that same year and during those hospitalizations that she met a guy who was also being treated there. His name was Paul Mitchell, and she got engaged to him super quickly, folks. It was just a matter of months before she announced their engagement. But folks, that relationship was totally chaotic, I swear. It was a mess. Nobody knew who was crazier in that couple, her or him. They'd be totally fine, then suddenly they'd fight, news would break in the media, they'd break up, then get back together, then this happened, then that happened. It was absolute madness. They even announced she was pregnant during one of their VBs and then later said she'd had a miscarriage. And with all that, folks, we could tell she wasn't mentally well, even during that period. She also showed up with a tattoo on her face and looking a bit different in her facial features right there. That really worried her fans, especially about her appearance, and they blamed her fiancé, Paul Mitchell. After that, not much was heard about Amanda until 2022, when, after 9 years, she filed a petition to end her parents' conservatorship. In that petition, she claimed she was psychologically well and said she no longer needed it, that she could now take care of herself and didn't need anyone managing her finances or her life. And get this, folks, the judge accepted her request. She managed to prove through exams, including psychological evaluations, that she was clean and mentally stable, so the judge granted her petition. And so, after 9 years, the conservatorship with her parents ended. That same year, she started selling clothes and products online. Yes, folks, I believe it was through her Instagram, and she began exploring her own business ventures. Shortly after that, she broke up with Alleluia because he was super toxic and unstable, and she also started taking a manicure course. She stayed relatively stable until 2023. There were no more news stories about her, no bad news, and she wasn't involved in any controversies. However, in March of 2023, she was found wandering the streets of Los Angeles, completely disoriented, semi-nude, and it was clear she wasn't doing well. She even called the police herself during one of these episodes, saying she urgently needed help. She was then hospitalized again for psychiatric treatment. And folks, 2023 was really tough for her, okay? She went through constant ups and downs. Every time she left treatment, she'd relapse and go right back. It was always like that. It became a vicious cycle, but by the end of 2023, she announced she was doing well again, and fans got excited. That's because she was reportedly launching a new project. She launched a podcast. Yes, folks, she started a podcast which was supposed to stream on both Spotify and YouTube. This happened in December of 2023, and fans went wild. They were super happy. The podcast was called Amanda Bynes, and Paul Seminski, a friend of hers, co-hosted it. It wasn't just her show. But people said he wasn't very stable mentally. Look, folks, many didn't approve of that friendship, but there they were, trying to launch a project and make a fresh start. They premiered the first episode on December 9th, 2023. The first guest was a Los Angeles tattoo artist named Dahlia Mott, a longtime friend of Amanda's, and they talked about various topics: fashion, books, music. And Amanda, she made it very clear that her podcast wouldn't focus on her personal life, what she'd been through, or any mental health issues she'd experienced. But here's what happened, folks. There was only that one episode. Later, she went on TikTok and told her followers she couldn't get the guests she wanted. They simply didn't want to come. Because of that, she said she'd cancel the podcast, but sometime later she came back saying she wouldn't give up and would keep going. But that's not what actually happened. There's only that single episode. And since then, folks, there haven't been any negative reports about her. Some news has surfaced, but nothing bad. For example, there were reports that she exhibited some of her artwork at a gallery show. Fans showed up and she greeted them. She was very affectionate with her fans. Another report said she appeared at a concert. Sometimes paparazzi catch her walking around, but she always looks well. She seems to have a healthy appearance and genuinely looks like she's doing well. She doesn't seem off at all. She's also been active on social media, showing a very positive attitude. Also, folks, in recent times, she opened an OnlyFans, but she clarified it's not for posting nudes, okay? She opened that OnlyFans to connect more closely with her fans, and I believe also to create another income stream. I don't know how she's managing financially, you know? Maybe she's trying to save up some money, but that OnlyFans was just meant to be a more intimate space with fans, but not with nudes, folks. She just wanted to communicate in a more personal way. She also recently announced she'd start using Ozempic. That's because, folks, she's concerned about her appearance. Sure, some people will say, wow, she looks terrible now, but who actually did that to her appearance? Just imagine the mental distortion, folks, from the life she lived in Hollywood. This really happens. People who go through trauma often suffer deep psychological effects. She couldn't handle it, and it hit her mind so hard that she wanted to change how she looked. Back in 2010, when she couldn't accept herself, we already saw the problem existed long before. You get it? And that's it, folks. Sometimes a person needs an outlet, and sometimes they turn it inward, criticizing their personality, their looks, everything, and then they snap and want to change everything. The important thing, folks, is that there haven't been any bad reports about her in the past year and a half. And it seems like she's trying, folks. It seems like she really wants to move forward. Her life, folks, has been full of ups and downs. And I place the blame, not on her, but on Hollywood. The fault lies in the life she lived, the pressure she faced, everything she went through. You know, it's really sad, folks. There are so many documentaries and exposés. We all know how rotten Hollywood really is, full of exposed secrets. And with this story I just told you, you can see she's always been fighting for herself, right? She's had ups and downs. It wasn't just lows. She didn't give up the first time she hit rock bottom, you see? So we can see that she loves herself, that she cares about herself, that she wants to chase her dreams and create the best life possible for herself. And she's trying, she just has her own limitations and she needs to move at her own pace. Her life has been really hard, right, folks? But what's beautiful is that she never gave up, and that's it, folks. Maybe alcohol and drugs are coping mechanisms for some people, so we shouldn't judge, you know? I think we should send positive energy. If you watch this video all the way through, go ahead and comment positive energy for Amanda. And that's it, folks. This was today's video. I tried to give you a summarized version. So much has happened in her life, folks, truly a lot. But I think this covers the essential points. I hope you enjoyed another video. Thank you so much for staying with me until the very end. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do and hit the notification bell so YouTube always shows you my videos and you'll be the first to know whenever I post something new. Also, share this with your friends, especially if you're from the 2000s like I am. Send it to everyone so we can reach even more people. Okay, folks? Follow me on my other social media too. I'll leave the links in the video description. And thank you again for watching until the very end, folks. Sending a big kiss to each and every one of you. See you in the next video. Bye.